it's a lovely topic in the sense of course, it's uh, Brahma Baba's voice, sorry, Brahma Baba's month, and yeah, he was the first human being to become an angel. So it's quite a what a, it's quite a thing actually. And I know Maria, you were saying there's quite a lot of new Baba's children, although uh, Brahma Baba would never use those terms. He would always say, it's the same children coming from the previous cycle, and Baba always says, last come, last last go fast and fast come first. And we thought we were sort of last go fast and fast come first when we came 40 odd years ago. But now I had a lovely experience just after COVID when there was a group of new Baba's children that's all taken birth on Zoom, and I was in Madhavan with them, and one thing, this whole thing of like being an angel, it's everything's quite subtle, and selves like myself, and obviously Yogesh, we had a huge amount of direct sustenance from Daddy Janki and Sister Sadesh and Sister Genti, and I met Avyak Bap Dada so many times, and actually meeting Baba personally so many times, and I did have this kind of question in my mind, how is it possible that everyone can get the same experience? And actually, I suppose it was the same thing in the yogya, wasn't it? Those that came right at the beginning, and then those sort of second wave of souls came, and then the first foreigners, and I suppose I was in the group of that, and then other waves come. But what I'm seeing is that somehow Baba can and is giving us all the same experiences because Baba's working on on that subtle level. And so that's really reassuring. And I usually go for peace of mind. I've been helping with the peace of mind retreat for many years with the transport. And over the years, it started off with all the senior daddies with the Daddy Gulzar would be there, Daddy Prakashmani, Daddy Janki, and very, very powerful. And the guests coming, meeting all the daddies. And over the years, obviously the daddies have become angelic. uh, and actually, it was Sister Shivani who was there, and she was talking, and they were coming up to her, getting, Toli and blessings and things. And it was in Om Shanti Bhavan where we used to meet, mostly used to meet Avyekt Bapdada, although we did meet him in the history hall a couple of times. And I just closed my eyes and I thought, the energy, the power, the feeling is exactly the same as when the daddies were up front. And then I thought, oh yes, because it's Baba. It's Baba's show. Baba's doing everything. And I thought, oh wow. And it's very reassuring. And I'm saying this, basically because whatever time anyone came, we always had this thought, oh, we've come late. I had that thought. People coming 20 years ago had that thought. I would imagine some of Baba's lovely new children would also have this thought now. And it's, even Daddy Janky, bless her, I think she came, what, a year later or something like that. And she thought she was miles behind. So she studied and caught up. So, when we're looking at sort of angels and a personality of an angel, we're really talking about something that's subtle. Baba talked about that this morning, didn't he, in the morning, the subtle region. And really, subtlety, we're beyond time and space, really. So if we start think, that's something which, I mean, essentially we're talking about soul consciousness, really. I mean, we've had this little debate or sweet argument, is being bodiless and is the angelic stage, uh, and is soul consciousness, is it the same thing? Well, I think probably there's little differences, but I did hear one of the seniors say, and I really like this, that the incorporeal stage, so the stage when the soul's completely out of the body, which of course is our original stage in the soul world. So the incorporeal stage in the corporeal, so the incorporeal in the corporeal, in the physical, is the angelic stage. And I thought, oh, let's see. So the incorporeal comes into the physical and expresses the incorporeal qualities or the original eternal qualities of the soul, but through the corporeal. And that's the angelic stage, which I suppose is like the personality of an angel. And I really like that. And that's what we saw in Brahma Baba. And of course, all our seniors took, I don't know, not the right word, training, but they saw Brahma Baba, they interacted with Brahma Baba, they observed how Brahma Baba did things. So, and then we looked at them, and then the Sister Gentis and the Sister Celestides looked at the Daddies, and then probably some people are looking at us now because we've been in Gyan a bit longer, and everyone's looking at each other. But basically, it's almost like the Olympic flame, isn't it? It's like the baton or the flame gets passed on, and um, I'm I've been around the block a long time, and every year, like we do everywhere, we we celebrate Brahma Baba's Day, and we have so many points about the angelic stage and so many points about Brahma Baba, and I was thinking, gosh, what I've been doing, and then I want to sort of share this because I like to share some of the maybe things hopefully might be useful to you. Um, is I need to simplify because I need to simplify BK life, particularly my thinking, because I don't know about you, so then we get the Avyak Sakar Moli, beautiful, get the Avyak Moli, then we get the blessing, then we get the slogan, then we get the Avyak points, then we get this and that. And if I'm not careful, it can it can almost feel like overload. um, but then the other term, I don't know if any of you watch the Avyakti Porivar channel that comes out of America, where Sister Mahini shares, and then there's a conversation with her. And I really try to catch that actually each day or catch up if I could, depending on the timing. But some of the things that she was showing, which really appealed to me, was it's about integrating. So everything that we're hearing needs to be integrated into the context of my life. And I really love that because otherwise I'm getting all this in. I mean, it's beautiful information, but then what do I do with it? And I hear the stories about Brahma Baba and this and that. But I need to be able to integrate it into the context of my life. And I kind of I just scribbled a few things down earlier when I was just reflecting a little bit. What does Brahma Baba mean to me? How can I integrate the experience of Brahma Baba into the context of my life? And it'll be different, won't it? Some of us worked and now not working. Some of us have families and this, that, and the other. And so that's a very useful thing to do, because one of the main, I mean, there's, you can probably now, if you go on the BK YouTube channel and Google personality of an angel, which I actually didn't do because I wanted to try and avoid just regurgitating lots of points to you, because you can study all that. But if you do that, you'll get lots of things. But one of the key things for me, I'd probably say the main thing is light. In all the stories and all the histories and all the fables and religions, the key thing about angels is light. And then the quality of one of the main qualities of an angel is lightness. And that needs to become our personality. And of course, Baba uses a lot, doesn't he? We have to become double light. And so we've got uh, the form of the soul, so the incorporeal soul being light, has a form of light, non-physical soul. And then being double light is beyond worry, beyond concern, beyond anxiety and stuff like that. So I'm double light, and I'm for me this is really, really important. I mean, I think probably like a lot of Westerners, we can overthink things a lot. And when I came in the early days, and some of you probably know, I'm married to Sister Maureen in London, so and we're still married, although she's in London now. So when we met Baba, the very first time we went to Madhaban, just after a couple of months, we did meet Baba together. That was our one and only time where we actually met as a, as a twosome. And then we used to meet Baba individually. And I had the habit, if I'm being honest, of worrying a little bit, overthinking. And Baba, said to me, now he said, whatever comes in mind, always remember you are double light. And then I used to sort of repeat that to myself for years and years and years. And now, over the last little while, I'm beginning to see that what Baba said is becoming more the reality. And I'm going to share a couple of experiences when I first came to Baba, because I think it's connected to the topic. And I don't know, when I can, I like to listen to some of the double foreigner Madhaban classes in Madhaban, which are all recorded. And because I just find, even after so long, if I want to maintain my personality of an angel, the lightness, I need to keep studying. And one thing that I've observed, Brahma Baba had so much love for the Morley. That there's that beautiful Madhaban song, isn't there? Baba Madhaban Morley. So it's like, that's it really. And Mama, apparently, it's quite often, more than often, she'd be holding a Morley in her hand. What I observed from Daddy Prakashman, in all the daddies, they had this, of course, this deep love for Baba, but that came through the Morley, because loving Baba means I love what Baba's saying. And you might have heard this lovely story when Daddy Prakashman, many years ago, they were traveling back to Madhaban from Delhi or Bombay, and overnight in those days on the train, and she wanted to read the Morley, but she said, I was traveling with a group of young sisters, and I didn't want to. They were sleeping, and didn't want to disturb them. It must have been 4 o'clock in the morning, and she said, so I got my shawl and I pulled it over my head, and I got my little torch out, because, of course, we didn't have mobile phones in those days with lights on. Got my little torch out, and I read the Morley underneath my shawl by torchlight. And I thought, oh, you know, I mean, how lovely is that? This, this is the head of this big spiritual organization, the one in whom Brahma Baba, passed on the reins to when he was leaving the body, and her deep love for Morley. And of course, it's interesting. Well, the name that Baba gave her, because in the early days, Baba did change their names, and so it was not Kamarka, but Daddy gave the name Prakash Mani, which, well, as you know, many of you, it means the jewel of light. And translating that into a personality is a jewel of lightness and love and ease. And if you think about it, when will I be light? When I feel, firstly, when I get a sense of belonging. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but probably all of us have quite a long search trying to find our way back to Baba or truth or whatever it was we were looking for. So I don't know about you, but but there was a point where I felt I didn't quite belong. We thought we were a bit strange. And then when we come to Baba, we realize, oh, it's not us, though. It's strange. It's the rest of the world, not strange, but that we think differently. That personality of lightness, and actually we were very fortunate. When Sister Moyne was here in Leeds, I think. I'm not quite sure when she actually finally went to London, but probably the late 70s, maybe the early 80s. Used to come and go, but Daddy Prakash Mani, her first tour, I think abroad. Well, not abroad. Yes, she went to Japan in the early days, 1950s, but coming over to London side, I think it was June 1977. And at that time, Leeds, outside of London, and then Leicester, which is quite a big centre, but mostly Hindi speaking and Gujarati. Leeds was pretty much one of the only little Western centres. So Daddy Prakash Mani came with Daddy Janki and Sister Sudesh, Sister Gentia. There's about 5 of them. And as drama would has it, they were supposed to be going back after the program back down to Leicester. And their car was being a bit dodgy and it was breaking down. And so they said, we'll stay overnight. And so that was suddenly, oh, goodness. You can imagine, Maureen and I had quite a small flat, and then suddenly, with no beds, I should say, and suddenly we had the 2 daddies and the seniors all decided to stay overnight. And so we had to seriously practice lightness and accommodation. And these are all sort of, I don't know. I mean, we talk about them as powers, don't we? But actually, if you incorporate those powers into your personality, they would all be things that you'd need to maintain this angelic light stage, wouldn't you? I think so. I remember listening to when Sister Genti gave a bit of a masterclass on the history of the yogi with Brahma Baba, and she did take up. It's on YouTube. You could check it out. She took up like the powers accommodation. Brahma Baba was holding sort of satsang, a gathering in his house, and then suddenly there's 400 people there. So, he would have to accommodate, use the power that comes from accommodation. He was a pillar of society, wasn't he? He was, very, very well respected. And when he had his series of visions and things, and I mean, pretty much the whole society turned against him. And so, he was insulted, defamed. And of course, you can read all about that. But I've been trying to reflect. Okay, we hear all these stories, but, what would it feel like if you were a real main pillar of your society? Make it personal. Pillar of your society, well respected and coming and going with kings, and then suddenly everyone's insulting you, defaming you, and it's quite an amazing thing. I tell you, the power of humility. An angel's supposed to be, isn't it, like the go-between between uh, God and humans. And there was that lovely, lovely thing which we've got some of you might have seen, that Anthony Strano did, angel and human being and angel. It's very beautiful. But one of the main things, to maintain lightness is that I am an instrument. Every How did you come to Baba? Who brought you to Baba? Yes, you'll have your own story. You've studied this and that. And I'd read so much. I was doing 4 different types of spirituality all simultaneously. I had a whole garage full of spiritual books, one after the other, and searching for what I wasn't quite sure of. And I'm sure you'll all have your own story. But who brought us to the center, or a friend gave us a leaflet, or you'll have your own story. This is Baba. Of course, the answer for everything, it's drama. Drama's fixed, so it had to happen. Well, yeah, but that's a bit of an academic BK academia answer, isn't it? But something in there is like reaching out to God, to Baba, to truth, to authenticity, whatever you might have called it. And Baba, is that Michael? Yeah, I think it's one of those paintings, isn't it? Is it Michelangelo where his hands going up and God's hands coming down? So Baba really found us. Baba really did find us. That's very comforting, isn't it? And what I find is quite reassuring, quite intoxicating, is that, Brahma Baba was talking about us even before most of us came. Brahma Baba was remembering us even before most of us came. And in some cases, quite a lot of us, even before we were born. And so, Brahma Baba was working on a very, very subtle level. And again, this subtlety, this refinedness, is the quality of an angel, is the personality of an angel. And of course, that's connected to purity. I mean, purity and light, purity and lightness. I think it's kind of the same thing, isn't it? I mean, you can't be light unless you have a purity. I mean, obviously for us we have celibacy, but even outside of celibacy, for our brothers and sisters, our friends and public and things, if their thinking is more pure, like they're seeing good qualities in others, they're not nitpicking, they're not gossiping, they're not focusing down on people's defects and talking about it. That is also kind of a purity, and that keeps you light, doesn't it? I mean, how do you feel when you're thinking not so nice thoughts about someone, especially one of the BK family? You feel heavy, don't I think so? And actually, literally, our thoughts come down. They depress our thoughts. Whereas Baba's talking a lot, isn't he? That we've got to keep our thoughts elevated. And of course, very simple. You know, if an elevated thought is a thought which elevates my consciousness or elevates my awareness. I mean, we talk about the three worlds as if they're one on top of each other, but they're really levels of consciousness. So even without all the BK stuff, someone can feel heavy, and when we talk about that, you say, oh, we say to someone, lighten up, I say, well, I can't get it out of my mind. I'm worrying, and it's all looping around, and we say to them, come on, let's go for a walk, lighten up, and you tell them something to take the mind off what they're thinking. So, human type of consciousness, of course, it's body consciousness, but it's very heavy. It brings us down. And Baba is teaching us to be light. And just coming in my mind, something Daddy Janky used to say. That's probably mostly everything Daddy says is from the Morley, but she would say, be light, take might from Baba, and do right. So be light, take might, take power from Baba, and then do right. So again, the personality of an angel, they'll have the purity, and that will allow us to connect to Baba, and that gives us the power to change our life, doesn't it? I mean, what did Baba say this morning? Appreciation. Oh, Baba, you've transformed us so much, and I change it into first person. Oh, Baba, you've transformed me so much. I've received so much happiness. You've come to liberate me from all my sorrow. Wow. And wow, I mean, what's more lovely than that? I mean, that makes us really light, doesn't it? And then I remember years ago, my sister Genty, she was in the car with Daddy Jenkin. I think they were going to meet the Archbishop of Canterbury, which I think in British Christianity is he the I'm not sure, but he's either the highest or very high up in the hierarchy of archbishops. And there's little Daddy Janky in a white sari, and Sister Genty said to Daddy, do you not feel? I mean, how do you feel about going to meet the Archbishop? And she said, well, he's got his intoxication, but I've got my intoxication. I am a child of God. And so Sister Genty was saying, Daddy was as light as a feather because she maintained that beautiful lightness that came from the power, from this feeling of belonging, and also knowing that Baba would do his work. Some years ago, we used to sort of talk about virtues, and in Leeds, where we used to do courses and things, and then say there was a power, I don't know, maybe the power of tolerance, and then what would be the supporting virtues that would support that power? So, like, say, for instance, I want to use the power of tolerance, which Brahma Baba had to use. So I'd probably need to be a bit flexible. I'd probably need to be a bit more peaceful. I'd need to be very accepting. So there would be a whole range of sort of virtues which support that power. And I was thinking, just reflecting really, in order to keep this personality of lightness, this personality of purity, those other things that I mentioned were important, and were clearly for Brahma Baba: the power to accommodate, tolerance, humility. He never used the word I, apparently. Now, I know nowadays there are some BKs who avoid the word I. So they'll say, this one will come to the center at 12 o'clock. And we'll go, hang on, which one? This one? Oh, you mean you? So I think, so I can understand why they don't want to use the word I. They think it helps them overcome ego, but actually, if you just do that without changing your consciousness, the language sounds a bit strange, quite frankly. Um, um, but and also, if you look in the Morleys, Baba talks about a body conscious I, doesn't he? And then there's the soul conscious I. So there's I, the soul. I'm a beautiful soul. I'm a powerful soul. I, the soul, am Baba's child, etc., etc. So I can use the word I, but it's in a soul conscious way, and that I think that's purity, and that makes me light. Everything is on Baba Road, isn't it? And when I came to Baba, and I was, let me see, I was quite young physically, actually, and not so long in Gyan, and I wasn't, my mind was not as strong as it was. Let me put it like that. And Baba said, no, now past is past. Don't think about the past. There's no use thinking about the past. Um, you've got a new life now. And now let Baba do the thinking and let Baba take the responsibility. So it took me a long time to work out what that meant and how to do it. But, it's like being guided by Baba. It's like if I'm putting too much of my own thinking into things, then I'll get heavy. Of course, I have to know the difference. What do I need to think about? What does Baba like? What is my responsibility? What is the responsibility of drama? And what is the responsibility of Baba? So not to get those mixed up. But being guided by Baba, which comes directly through the Morley, of course, but I think now the times are such, that Baba's Morleys are very relevant to us now. However, when Baba spoke the Morley, there was a historical context, there was a cultural context, there was, depending on the people in front of him. So, even in Baba's Morley, I have to be easy and light about things because, one day Baba will say, how can you explain Baba's knowledge without the pictures, without the charts? How could you explain where London is in relationship to Greece or Turkey without showing them the map? And we all go, oh yeah, that's a good point, Baba. And the next day or a couple of days later, Baba will say, are you such Budus? Are you such idiots that you can't, do you not have the sense to be able to explain Baba's knowledge without having all the pictures and things? Now, if you take those literally, think, oh, is Baba changing his mind? And of course, Baba's just speaking according to context, and that's wisdom, isn't it? So wisdom is something which is a supporting, I don't know, quality or virtue to support lightness. Yeah, let me just, okay. Yeah, the other thing, we hear about Brahma Baba, and I'm using Brahma Baba as an example, really, as the personality of an angel, really. He was very caring, he was very kind. And I've heard so many stories about Brahma Baba through Daddy Chanki over the years. I mean, we've been so lucky, really. But Sister Mahini in New York, in Avyakti Parivar, has been talking a lot about her experiences over the years. And And the one thing that I've picked up that's really deepened my feeling for Brahma Baba's personality and hence the personality of an angel, um, he was very caring, kind. She said he was very gentle. When he spoke, I mean, not he didn't get angry. You can imagine Brahma Baba. How many times have I told you to be self-conscious? Obviously, Baba wouldn't do that, but they never saw him raise his voice. They never heard him raise his voice. He never got irritated, never got impatient. And no matter what someone was like, personality, he would be very patient and explain, and as if he knew the future of those souls. And I find that really human. I know it's found funny when we're talking about being an angel, but um, I I find there's a down to earthness and a humanity about Brahma Baba, and of course he was the father of humanity, that I find personally really appealing. And Sister Mahini shared, she was very young when she sort of came to Baba, and at that time she was studying, I think it was political science, and also she was doing a course on journalism. And so Brahma Baba, she was in Delhi, and she used to go to uh, Madhavan, Mount Abu in her holidays. Brahma Baba told her, when you got some time, come. Uh, and she said one thing that really endeared Brahma Baba to her was that you'd imagine Brahma Baba, the father of humanity, just giving gyan, knowledge, quoting knowledge. And she said he used to ask her, "How are you doing in your studies? What are you studying?" And then Baba was saying, and then Baba would relate to her basically like we in a very normal way, like we would perhaps, if one of your friends or your relatives who's gone to university and they come and say, how are you doing? What are you studying? Okay, how are you finding it? And what are they explaining? And I I found that experience. Um, I don't know. It gave me a real beautiful feeling for Brahma Baba's personality. On one hand, in the early morning he would be away with Baba, Shiv Baba, but then during the day he would, he's a karma yoga. So again, the incorporeal acting through the corporeal, so the soul acting through the body. Is the angel. So Brahma Baba was, they use the term like active, alert, attractive, accurate. He was very accurate and very, very alert, even right until the end. His late 80s, 90s. I was listening to some Sister Genti, met her when she was quite young, and he was taken up the steps in Madhaban into a meeting, and she said she had to sort of run after him because he was, and she said even at that age he would sit upright and half lotus and very alert. And I thought, wow, you know, and he was angel. He was becoming an angel, but he had this, I don't know what you'd call this practical sense about him, which I find really attractive. It's like integrating this really high spiritual stuff into the practical. And just one final, yeah, they were digging a well and the water wasn't coming. And Brahma Baba started to climb down, and all the sisters said, "Oh, Baba, no, you can't go down." And, you know, and apparently Brahma Baba said, children, the water should be coming because we need water and it's not coming. So Baba's going down to see why the water's not coming. I thought, how, how nice is that? So, I mean, how really practical is that? Um, so these are a couple of things that are coming in mind about personality of an angel. I mean, the other one just detached and loving. Brahma Baba was so loving, so loving. He would ask them, "Have you got your towel, children?" And if they'd forgotten their toothbrush, and make sure you got your soap. I've got soap in my store if you've forgotten it. And Brahma Baba, he would be like a mother, and particularly after Mama left the body, he took on the role of like being like a mother. That's beautiful, isn't it? Very caring, very kind, very human, but with that spirituality. And you know, Dada Vishwakishore, I think he left was Baba's right hand person. He left, I think, in '67 after Mama, before Baba. And he was very ill, and he was in Bombay, and Baba would sit up all night. You've probably heard these stories, and he would send Sakash, these vibrations of light and light. And when we left the body and they came to Baba, and Baba said, should we arrange to bring the body back to Mount Abu? And Brahma Baba said, why? The soul has gone. You can do the cremation there. So Sister Mohini was showing that Baba was extremely loving and extremely detached, had this beautiful balance. Okay, so I think, oh yeah, one final thing I want. Yeah, this thing of, Brahma Baba was complete renunciation, and um, but it's very clear from particularly the Sakar Maulis. Brahma Baba talks about the moon, some stars being close to the moon, some stars a little bit distant, the sun, the clouds, the mountains. So it was very clear that Brahma Baba wasn't like a space cadet, floating around. But his renunciation was deep inside, but he appreciated everything. He really loved nature, and so I love that balance of being, renouncing, but also in a very warm, natural, authentic, grounded way, so that we come across quite normal. I think the personality of an angel is that they would be normal. And one final thought: when we were very young in Gan, we used to, and when Daddy practiced, we'd sit like statues, like this, in meditation, like not moving. And I used to do that. Daddy Prakashmani must have spotted us, and then she said, she said you've she said you this isn't Hatha yoga, this is Raj yoga. It's based on deep love and understanding, and so she said you need to be. She actually used the phrase bilkul. Bilkul means very, extremely normal. She said no one should think that you're strange. Your friends, your relatives, your people at work. So yeah. So Maria, would anyone want to ask
Yes.
anything? Yeah.
Um, there are not any questions still,
Okay. Okay,
but
that's right.
yeah,
Hmm.
just one that has to do probably with translation of some
Yeah.
words into English and then to other languages, probably. I mean, from the Hindi script.
Yeah.
For example, what's the difference between incorporeal and bodiless?
Yeah, quite. I think they're pretty much the same thing. And if you got someone like Daddy Janky or maybe Sister Mini, they might give a little bit of a difference. But being honest, even Daddy Janky would have her own thoughts, and the other daddies would have their own thoughts. So I've stopped trying to separate them out in a kind of an academic way. Do you know what I mean? I mean, essentially, incorporeal, bodiless, they're all aspects of soul consciousness. I mean, I think Shiv Baba can be incorporeal, can't he? I mean, can we be incorporeal when we're in bodies? I think we're soul conscious. So if I'm being honest, I don't think I got an answer for that. And we were talking about this kind of thing this morning, that it's very important for us all, and particularly those of you who, a little bit newer with Baba this cycle. Um, if something isn't 100% clear, maybe, you can ask a few people. But the main thing is to practice and get the feeling of soul consciousness or being incorporeal. I mean, I have had that experience once when Avyak Bapdada was there, where I just felt completely out of the body, and I was just like light. And it was an amazing experience. But, whether that was incorporeal or bodiless or soul consciousness, I'm not sure. And actually, for me now, I'm not sure that it really matters. But I think soul consciousness is in action. I mean, I don't know. I'm just putting this out as, is it possible to be bodiless in action? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Um, but I'm just remembering. Let me just share. When Maureen and I came to Baba, and we were taking the course in London, and Brahma Baba came in my dreams twice, and one was Baba was there, and he had Maureen in one hand and myself in the other, and you know, in the dream, Baba said, "Okay, so now you're both my children now, so you're brother and sister." So that was like kind of instant, instant purity. And then there was another dream which is connected to what a little bit to what you're asking, Maria. Um, Brahma Baba was standing there, and then he completely disappeared, and then he reappeared again, and then he completely disappeared, and he completely reappeared again. And I was watching this, and I must admit, in my dream, I must have said to Baba, like a little kid, I was saying, "Wow, that's really cool. How do you do that?" and, and Baba smiled and said, "One day you'll be able to do this." And of course, I had no idea what Baba was talking about. And even for many years, and of course, now I understand it's this basic basic practice of being bodiless, incorporeal, and then coming into action, coming into the body, and then going beyond the body, like Baba coming back. And I think this is one of the main practices that we need to do to cultivate these angels, because, like Baba said this morning, if you want to become Sattva Pradhan, you've got to remember Shiv Baba whilst you're walking. And what did he say? Walking, moving, eating, basically doing everything. Um, so, yeah, I'll save these questions if when I get some time with Sister Sudesh, she might have an answer for that in Madhava.
But really, it was so powerful. Whatever you shared was really very powerful, and I think that helps many of us. Even we are in Gyan for 30 years
Yeah,
or
yeah,
30
yeah, yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that was really very powerful. What you shared, from your heart, and really, I mean, everybody was benefited by what you shared. Um,
Mm.
I still don't have any question.
It's okay. But this is my appeal to everyone, because it's like sometimes we come at knowledge and, oh, it's fantastic. I'm quoting Gan, Gan, Gan. I'm studying all the Morleys. And I love, for me, there isn't enough time between getting up and Morley class for, I like to listen to the English Morley, and then I like to listen to the Hindi Morley, catch a few words, listen to Sister D, Mahini, and now I find if it's on YouTube, I speed it up double or fast so I can listen to it very quickly. But at the end of the day, it's like a sports person. I might be trained in all these moves, but I have to execute them at the time of need. So, I think I've just got to simplify and make sure that I'm practicing something each day. That's the main thing. This is what I'm doing at the moment. Um, and because now we've got the Morley search engine, and so, all of Baba's children, even Baba's new children, now you can go in and press, personality or angelic, but you'll get pages and pages and pages and pages of Morley points, and it's wonderful. But then what I think we really need to do is take that and, as I said, integrate it, incorporate it into the context of my life. And that means my BK life as well. And just one final thought, because I'll just throw it out. So I just made a note of it. It is quite interesting for, for everyone to think, what was and still is the role of Brahma Baba, because it's quite funny, those of you who go to Oxford, we're telling people this is Raj Yoga, and in the Morley Baba says, just remember one, don't remember anyone else. And then in Oxford, we've got the pictures of Baba and the daddies, and in Madhavan, it's the same, and it makes me smile. And my room's full of dozens of pictures of Brahma Baba and the daddies, and I'm thinking, how interesting, So for me, the answer is they were the ones that showed the signal of how they remembered only Shiv Baba, but they did it in a natural way. And one final thing, I remember Daddy came to my room, and I've got a very small room. I like small rooms. I think at that time I must have had about 15 pictures of Brahma Baba. And Daddy Jackie, oh, David, too much. And I said, Daddy, you had the real thing, so at least let me have my pictures. And she smiled and said, okay. And Brahma, it's not Brahma Baba, the human being. Well, it isn't. It isn't. It's like, if you look at most of the pictures of Brahma Baba, not all of them, but most of them, and look into Baba's eyes, what's coming through those eyes is Shiv Baba. So that's the importance of Brahma Baba. He showed Shiv Baba. And just one final thing to leave you with. Years ago, we were in Brother Neville's old flat in Chelsea somewhere, and Daddy Janky was conducting meditation. We were all packed in like we used to be. And someone said, oh, you were giving very powerful drishti, Daddy. And I thought, oh dear, not the right thing to say to Daddy Janky. You were. And Daddy smiled, and you know what she said? And I love this, and it still applies today. No, she said, it was Shiv Baba's power and Daddy's good wishes. And I thought, how lovely is that? So, if we're giving drishti or looking at someone, you just think, sort of get out the way, let Shiv Baba's energy come through, and we add a little bit of good wishes. Right. As Daddy would say, take away the microphone, Maria, because it's fine.
So, yes, thank you so much from the heart. It was really very nice
Good.
lecture, and I think all of us took a lot. I just
Great.
read some comments. Perfect
Okay.
speech, very fruitful and sincere, full of stories. Please let's do one more soon.
I'll do one more. Okay.
So nice that you mentioned Anthony, brother Anthony,
Uh,
half angel, half person. This
mm,
is a sister from Greece.
yeah, he was a very close
And
friend. Oh,
also, yeah,
oh dear. Look,
actually,
my eyes are
actually,
filling up.
yeah, actually, I was watching this video, the angel and the human,
Oh,
this day.
it's funny because actually, I just Anthony came in my dream last month, and it was because I was very close to him, and yeah, because I remember when literally I'd come about 6 months before. I remember when he arrived in Tennyson Road in London, and it was almost like he was talking to me. So it's interesting. So we all have a capacity. to work on a more subtle angelic level, even as newies, because we've all got our subtle bodies from last cycle, haven't we? And then someone said this morning, well, what is this mysterious subtle body? And someone said, oh, it's a body of light, which means it's a body made up of virtues. I thought, oh, how nice is that?